Isaac, because that's what Isaac Wright Jr. said. People would say to him, wait a minute, what do you mean you're wrongly convicted? No way that the system would do that. And here you are, grew up very different than Meek Mill, and you see it. Had you not been there in that courtroom, you might not have recognized your whole life.
I wouldn't have recognized it my whole life, for sure. I had to be there to see it first. And I can tell you, up until November 6, 2017, I would have told you that I think the legal system works right 99.9% of the case. And I was completely wrong. And today, having gone through this with Meek and having started the Reform Alliance, I can tell you that there are so many people. First of all, again, 25% of the people that go to prison each year go for technical violations. That means they didn't commit a crime. They were late for a probation appointment. They couldn't afford their fines. We met a guy last year, same judge as Meek Mill, couldn't afford $1,900 in penalties, and he got sent to prison for 18 to 36 months. Meek saw that, I saw that. We immediately went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ordered him to be released from prison in Pennsylvania. But this stuff happens every single day. And again, most people who come from where I come from don't actually think it's possible, but we're wrong. We're uneducated.
Why do you feel it's important that this message comes from someone like you who does not feel, again, this profile that people have, 4.5 million people on probation or parole?
Yeah, well, let me tell you first, the biggest problem with the criminal justice system is actually probation and parole, because that's 2/3 of the entire system. There's 6.7 million people in the system, 4.5 million on probation and parole. That's the biggest feeder back to prisons. And again, so many for not committing an actual crime. To me, we need to make the country equal and fair for everybody. And the big thing that happened, the big thing that happened for me was when I watched, and here's when the light bulb really went off. Meek said to me the day I met him, I think in 2014. He said to me, Michael, I was charged for pointing a gun at multiple police officers. He said, now, if I point a gun at multiple police officers, that's called suicide, okay? And he told me that 100 times before. I mean, over many years, he told me this 100 times. So now he goes to prison, and now we hire myself, Jay-Z, Desiree Perez from Rock Nation, we hire all these investigators to kind of try to, open the situation up and figure it out. And we spent the first couple months looking at the judge, because the judge was a fundamentally flawed judge, and she was as bad as a judge as you could get. But the problem was the system was broken. And once Meek said to me one day, he's like, Michael, I've told you 100 times I never pointed the gun. He said, you got to go back and look at that. And the first police officer that we interviewed said, oh, no, he never pointed the gun. The whole thing's a lie. And we said, hold on, will you sign an affidavit? He said, yes. And then it took another 3 months to get him out of prison. And that's when our conversation between myself, Meek, right, Jay-Z, Desiree, Robert Kraft, it shifted from how do we get him out of prison to as soon as we get you out of prison, we have to fix the overall system.
And that's
when
my
we got
point,
sucked into.
because let me tell you something. We don't have Jay-Z, you, Robert Kraft on speed dial.
Yeah.
So you're lucky to get one phone call. How does this go past a celebrity like Meek Mill or a hashtag with, as Centoya Brown, who came on our show, where if your name is not trending on Twitter, yeah, how do you help people?
I got to tell you something. There was a moment where we realized it started, I'm just being completely blunt, it was only about getting one of my closest friends out of prison. And then we realized that this wasn't just about a bad judge, it was about a broken system affecting millions of people that indirectly affect tens of millions of people. We said we have to do something much bigger about this. And that's when the conversation, it literally 3 months into prison, and Meek was there for almost 6 months, every day was about how do we fix the overall system as soon as you get out. So for us, as soon as Meek got out, we went out and we raised more than $50 million only from the founding partners, myself, Jay-Z, Meek Mill, Robert Kraft, several other partners who helped us start the Reform Alliance. And we're focused on how do we get 1 million people off of probation and parole while keeping communities safe. In a lot of cases, keeping communities more safe so that police can concentrate on the real issues and not putting people in prison that don't belong in prison.
So your goal is to get how many people?
Our goal is to get at least 1 million people
by when?
Out of the system within 5 years. It started a year ago. So 4 more years, we want to get 1 million people out of the system, focused really on probation and parole reform. Again, there's 4.5 million people on probation and parole. There should probably be 1 million or 2 million people, and we should concentrate on
helping. Will you reach that goal?
I believe we will reach the goal. And I got to tell you something. As an entrepreneur who's built businesses their whole life, I believe you can make anything happen if you put your mind and your will behind it.
Right.
And